Hello, beautiful thrivers. Michelle here with From Surviving to Thriving. Today's topic has to do with what to do about a broken amygdala, how to fix your fight or flight response. And this is kind of a continuation from my first video of the year, first video of 2018. Here's a link to that video, and it's where I really talked about the importance of healing the mind and the body as a whole. And I discovered when I went to a holistic practitioner, I discovered that my amygdala was broken. In other words, it was always on, it wasn't able to turn off. And it really made sense in my life. It helped me to understand why sometimes if I was in a situation where I had maybe a flashback or something reminded me of a situation that I had with a narcissist, it was almost like my anxiety would go from 0 to 10, as if I was reliving the same emotions that I was living in that when I was in that situation, but I wasn't in the situation. And I couldn't seem to stop it. I couldn't seem to pause and say, oh, okay, wait. That just reminded me of that. It's okay. Everything's good now. I'm not in that relationship. That's part of my past. Everything's okay. I couldn't seem to do that. It was like my emotions were on overdrive. The adrenaline, the cortisol was flooding my body, and I couldn't seem to stop it. And so when I found out that that all has to do with the fight or flight response, not learning how to turn off, it made sense, and it was like an eye-opener. So finding out that my fight or flight response was broken, my amygdala was broken, was the first step towards healing. It wasn't the last. It was like, okay, this is how it is. This is a result of chronic stress. And if you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, you have lived in a war zone in your house 24/7. So yes, you have had to deal with chronic stress. You're probably dealing with CPTSD. You have anxiety. Your fight or flight response is off. And if you want to know if yours is off, just think, if somebody says something that reminds you of the relationship you were in, or if somebody says a point of view that seems to trigger you, and suddenly you find yourself responding with all of these intense emotions and you can't seem to calm down, those are good indicators that your fight or flight response needs some help. Okay, so the first part of the healing was finding out what was wrong. The second part was learning what to do about it, and that's what this video is about. I want to teach you guys what I've been doing, what I've found so helpful. I do want to remind you guys how important it is to have a doctor and a holistic practitioner, because the holistic practitioner is really going to look at you as a whole. They're going to look for ways to heal in holistic ways as opposed to just medicine. And so to me, they treat not just the symptoms, but the root causes. At the same time, something that I do and that I recommend is, regardless of what I'm told, regardless of who tells me, I always do a ton of research to find out if that's something that I feel is important for me, or I feel it resonates with me. And so I don't take anyone's word for it, and I don't encourage you to take anyone's word for it. Really do your research. So when I asked the holistic practitioner, okay, well, my amygdala is broken, get it. My fight or flight response is always on, get it, definitely get it. I completely agree. I could feel it inside. I could even feel when it would go off. It would just, sometimes it would take a day. It was like the next day, all of a sudden I was winding down, like a car that instead of hitting the brake, you just pull up the foot from your gas pedal that slowly slows down. I could feel that happening with my emotions, with my body. So I knew that it was true. I could feel it. It resonated with me. So my next question was, what do I do about it? And my holistic practitioner told me that I needed to learn how to breathe. I was like, what? Okay, she said, yes, you have to take time to breathe. And you have to breathe in counts of 4, 6, and 8. In other words, holding in your breath, inhaling deep from your stomach, not from your chest, holding it for a count of 6, exhaling it at a count of 8. And she said I should do that at least 5 to 10 times in the day. For example, 5 times in the morning, and either 5 times at night or 5 times in the middle of the day. Okay? When she first told me, I was like, okay, I just need to breathe and that's what's going to do it. I was skeptical. Doing my own research helped me to see that when you are under a lot of stress, you have shallow breathing. You're not breathing properly. You're breathing from your chest. So you're not getting enough oxygen. Now the funny thing is when I got remarried, one of the things that my husband told me was, he says, Michelle, sometimes I get nervous at night because you breathe so fast and so shallow. He's like, I stay up watching you to make sure you're okay. And I didn't even realize that not only during the daytime was I sometimes holding my breath because of stress, didn't even realize it, breathing shallow from my chest, but even at night. So I decided to give the breathing technique a shot, and it really changed. I no longer have that shallow breathing at night. It has helped me to not get triggered. For example, one of the things that can trigger a person a lot that has been in a narcissistic relationship are your children. Sometimes if they are imitating a characteristic of somebody that has narcissism or somebody that might be high on the scale of narcissism, it'll trigger your reaction because it's such a deep reminder or such a close reminder of the past. Okay? So after practicing that breathing technique, which I do all the time, and I combine it with 2 acupressure points that I'm going to teach you about today, and I no longer get triggered. Not only that, I can feel myself get anxiety, and I now have the ability to reason within my mind and say, oh, okay, I can see why that made you a little anxious, but this is how it is now. This is who you are now, and it's okay. You're safe. I can actually do that now, whereas in the past, I couldn't. Once my anxiety went up, until it slowed down on its own, I couldn't control it. So this is huge, and I really hope this helps people. Okay, so first, the breathing. I'm going to do the breathing. You guys can do it with me. Okay, so it's breathing in for 4 counts, holding it for 6. Now, some people hold it for 7. It's easier for me to hold it for 6, and then I let it out at 8. You don't have to worry so much about how fast am I counting, as long as you're consistent for the 3 different parts of the breathing exercise. For example, you don't want to do, breathing in 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, and then hold your breath 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, you want to be consistent. That's the only thing. It doesn't matter how fast, how slow. Just do what's comfortable for you as long as you're consistent with your counts. So let's just breathe together just to give you an idea. So it's inhaling, Okay, so that's the breathing. I do that 5 times in the morning. I do it sometimes in the middle of the day, and I do it in the evening. I love how it feels, but I love combining it with these 2 acupressure points, and they're in the back of your head underneath your skull. And I'm going to teach you where they are and why it's so useful to do these acupressure points and the breathing together. Okay, so these acupressure points can be used for pain relief for things like headaches, migraines, ringing in your ear, insomnia, fibromyalgia, tiredness, stiff neck, neck pain, eye strain, uptightness, irritability, but these are the ones that I use it for. It's also good for judgmental attitudes, nervousness, hypertension, and mental stress, or any combination of these symptoms. These 2 acupressure points underneath the base of the skull, to me, have been a real lifesaver. They're referred to as GB20. They regulate the circulation into the brain, and they're called the gates of the mind, or sometimes called the gates of consciousness. And when these acupressure points are blocked, you might feel uptight, you might have pressure in your head, short-sightedness, and it may be difficult to cope with stress, and it may be difficult for you to make wise decisions. So they relieve pain by releasing the body's natural pain relievers or endorphins. They open the healing energy through these acupressure points so that you can relieve stiffness, especially stiff necks, arthritis, pain. There are other acupressure points for the problems that I mentioned, but GB20 is one of the most potent points for obtaining relief. It's below the base of the skull and the hollows on both sides of the neck, between the two vertical neck muscles. You'll feel these large hollows underneath the skull bone. So you can use self-acupressure treatment application. And you can do this by doing the breathing exercises at the same time while pressing underneath the base of the skull on both sides. You can use your thumbs, your fingers, or your knuckles to gradually apply pressure into the hollows of your skull. These acupressure points relax the nervous system, the brain. When you inhale for the 4 counts, bring your head back slightly, and when you exhale, let your head come downward to relax your neck. The benefits of these acupressure points are you'll find that instead of all the uptight symptoms that you might experience when dealing with stress, you'll be more peaceful and you'll have more mental clarity. What a difference it is when you can be alert, calm, clear, awake, and inspired to obtain great achievements. The natural happiness is overwhelmingly contagious. And when you continue to use these precious points on a regular basis, you'll find the benefits lead to more grace and wonder. Okay, so my theme for this year's videos is about change, doing things different. If you're experiencing irritability, if you're very judgmental of yourself, if you are triggered very easily, try this. If you just learn about it and say, oh yeah, I am, oh that's me, yep, I'm awful with myself in that regards, or I can't think clearly, I can't make good decisions. Okay, that's part of the healing process, learning, recognizing, and that's actually huge because it takes a lot of humility to be able to look at yourself and see where you need to improve, okay? Humble people can do that. So, give yourself a pat on the back for recognizing it, but now take it one step further and now do something different. Remember, Einstein said, insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting something different. Okay, so add this to your daily routine, and then I would love to hear how this has benefited you. Please take the time to leave a comment below and share your experience.